One of the most exciting aspects of every new Pokemon generation is seeing all of the new Pokemon. What will their designs be like? What will they take inspiration from? How cute will they be? How strange will they be? And what kind of weird things will the Pokédex describe next? Well, we took a look at the Pokédex entries for every new Galar Pokémon to see what kind of strange descriptions we could find. And here are a few of the ones that really stood out for us. First up is Wooloo. Oh, Wooloo, so cute and fluffy, like really fluffy. Like, so fluffy that it could literally fall off of a cliff and stand back up unharmed. That's an immense amount of cushion for the little sheep. But really, it makes us wonder something else. Who the heck decided to throw a Wooloo off of a cliff to find this out? Is this a lemming situation? Somebody should really keep an eye on them. We honestly shouldn't worry though. Even Wooloo's evolution, Dubwool, is all about that spring. In fact, its wool is so springy that if you were to make a carpet from it, it'd end up closer to a trampoline. The moment you step foot on it, you're going to bounce. Again, it makes us wonder about the poor fool who found this out. They just wanted to make a carpet and instead, they get launched into the ceiling. It can be rough living in the Pokemon world. And that's especially true if you mess with certain Pokemon. Take Colossal for instance. While it's usually peaceful, it doesn't take kindly to anybody vandalizing its mines. It'll get so enraged that the offenders will be hit with flames that reach 2700 degrees Fahrenheit. That's nearly twice the temperature needed to cremate a body, or just enough to melt a steel beam. We take it Colossal isn't one to leave evidence behind when it murders a person. Yikes. Of course, this isn't the only Pokemon that could attack humans. There's also Hatterene, who you probably shouldn't annoy. If you're too loud around it, you run the risk of simply being torn apart by the claw on its tentacle. Yeah, that's a good way to scare kids. And speaking of brutal fairy types, there's Morgrem, who will only act like it's begging for forgiveness when beaten. In reality, the devilish imp is trying to lure people in so it can stab them with its spear-like hair. That is a pure villain act, plain and simple. The Galar Pokédex also contains a lot of strange entries in regard to food. For one, we were introduced to Kramer Aunt before release and how it could spit out an Barracuda after using Surf or Dive. Makes sense, but it also has the slim chance of coming back with a Pikachu in its mouth, and this gets its own Dex entry. And it has to be one of the funniest things we've read, despite the poor Pikachu situation. You see, Kramer Aunt is choking a little, but it isn't really bothered. What? We know this Pokemon's a bit brain dead, but this is ridiculous. Oh, I'm choking. Whatever. But Kramer Aunt seems to be onto something when it comes to Barracuda. After all, its evolution, Barracuda, is described as having flesh that's surprisingly tasty. The question comes up time and time again whether the people of the Pokemon world actually eat Pokemon. We know about Slowpoke tails, but it seems someone decided to have a bite of Barracuda. It might have a strong jaw, but apparently that meat can't be beat. Of course, no meal is complete without some dessert, right? Fortunately, we think, there's Appletun, whose body is covered in a sweet nectar, and the skin on its back is especially yummy, to the point that children used to have it as a snack. We're just picturing kids walking up to this poor Pokemon and peeling its skin to eat. Does it come off naturally, or did it require knives like an actual apple? We suppose it's good that they don't do it anymore, but still, that just sounds cruel. Maybe that's why Sinistea weaponizes itself if people drink it. After all, it can absorb the life force of those who attempt to. Unfortunately for Sinistea, it doesn't get much of a chance as the taste is so bad that it gets spat out immediately. You know, Sword and Shield confirmed there's a YouTube equivalent in the Pokemon world. There has to be a Sinistea taste challenge out there. Somebody would be dumb enough to do it for those sweet, sweet clicks. Anyway, there's also Apuss. It doesn't get eaten, though we wouldn't be surprised if that was revealed later, considering its tentacles tear off easily. But don't worry, they'll grow back. Even Apuss knows this. Although we do wonder what that kind of life is like, considering it's about as smart as a 3-year-old. Somehow, it's a creepy thought imagining a 3-year-old being like, lost an arm, whatever. Kids these days. But speaking of kids, there's one Pokemon they don't need to be afraid of, Dreepy. Yeah, it may be a dragon type, but if caught alone, even a child could beat it. That's pretty weak. Unfortunately, it just needs good friends, teamwork, and a bit of training to evolve and become stronger. It's an uplifting message for everyone. So let's kill the mood with our last Pokemon, Galarian Corsola. The sudden climate change in the world wiped out this ancient variety of Corsola. Now it's a ghost, absorbing the life force of others through its branches. Climate change is real, and poor Corsola was the victim. And that's just a few of the Pokédex entries that really stood out to us in Pokémon Sword and Shield. Some are funny, some are disturbing, and some are just sad, but what are some of your favorites from Gen 8? Let us know in the comments and be sure to subscribe to Game Explained for more on Pokemon and other things gaming.